Hi, this is Kim. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Live More Now. Today's video is going to be about how to build a successful resume and ace the application process. The goal today is to get noticed and land that job interview. So the job hunting process begins with creating a resume that's going to highlight your skills and experience. It's hard to stand out sometimes, especially nowadays as companies are moving toward these online application processes. But hopefully with these tips, we'll be able to help you get your resume towards the top of that pile. So in today's video, we're going to discuss more the content of your resume versus the formatting. Nowadays, word processing softwares include resume templates. I've also included some links down below where you can download some free resume templates. And for those of you who don't have access to a word processor, a word processing program, I've included a link for a open source Office suite. So I've included a couple sample resumes. The first one you can see is pretty traditional in its formatting. I would say when in doubt, use this style. The second one has a little bit more color, might offer a little bit more distinction. And the third one you can see has more color, a bit more complex formatting, and I would recommend this type of resume if you're applying for, let's say, a marketing, advertising type position or anything in the creative field. Once in a while, I will run across a resume that has a portrait, headshot of the candidate up in the upper corner of that person's resume. Which I find really valuable. A picture speaks 1,000 words, right? So now I have a face with a name. So regarding the content of your resume, unless you are your experience is vast or you are an executive, you should really try to keep your resume to one page. So space is of the essence. I'm going to talk about what I think your resume must include. Obviously at the top, you need to have your name, address, and any contact information. Underneath that, you want to have an objective, and then you want to list your education, your work experience. If you have room at the bottom, hopefully you can type in a couple of sentences that describe you personally. So starting with your objective is just that. What is it that you are trying to attain? I would say keep it simple, something kind of generic like to obtain a position in customer service, utilizing my skills and ability that will provide opportunities for growth. That's very generic. Feel free to tailor that to something a little more specific to the job that you are applying for. But the bottom line, the goal of this section is to highlight what it is that you are ultimately trying to accomplish. So the next section here is your education. Pretty simple. You're just going to want to put the name of the school you attended, the year you graduated, your major if you have one. Here you could also include any extracurricular activities. Maybe you played in sports. Maybe you were part of a sorority or a fraternity, or you could include any volunteer work as well. Moving on to your work experience, for those of you just entering the workforce, here's where you would want to include volunteer work, internships, any part-time after-school positions, whatever. Regardless, no matter who you are, you want to start with the company name, the years that you were employed there, and the positions that you held. So, for example, ABC Company, year 2000 and 2005, customer service manager. Below that, you're going to want to include bullet points about your duties. And this is the heart and soul, the meat of your resume. That said, it's very important wherever possible, as often as possible, you would include a task, a duty, an accomplishment, and how that enhanced the company. So, for example, perhaps you organized a filing system that increased efficiencies. Or maybe you were the lead on a marketing campaign that landed a large account that resulted in an increase in sales revenue by 20%. Perhaps you purchased office supplies, and by sourcing a new vendor, you decreased costs by $1,000 annually. Wherever you can use numbers, percentages, dollars, that's ideal. At the bottom of your resume, you can include something that describes you personally. Perhaps you're a loyal and dedicated employee. Maybe you could talk briefly about your hobbies. Perhaps you play an instrument or you're a cooking enthusiast. Either way, whatever you put, be sure to keep it short, keep it simple, and of course positive. At the very bottom of your resume, you're going to want to include just a one-line statement that says references available upon request. Exactly that. If you have any letters of recommendations from previous employers, have those available. If you don't have letters of recommendation, consider contacting previous employers and see if they'd be willing to provide those. So as you're developing your bullet points, it's important to remember that your resume is not an autobiography. It's important that you catch their attention quickly, pique their interest. Again, the goal is to get the interview. You may find that you have multiple skill sets that cover multiple areas. For example, I have experience in human resources and also sales. So I will have one resume that has a few more specifics about my HR experience, and another resume that has a few more specifics that highlight my sales experience, depending on which position I'm applying for. Once you have completed the application process, most people stop there, and I think that they're often missing the most important step. At this point, it's important that you follow up on that application. Do some research on the company, call there, get the name of the hiring manager or the HR recruiter, stop by with a hard copy of your resume in hand, ask if there's someone that you can meet with to follow up on your application. Don't be discouraged if you don't get to meet with somebody. You probably won't, but you might. And you're not going to know that until you show up. So don't be shy. There is nothing wrong with showing the company that you're eager, you're positive, you're a go-getter, and you want to work for that company. Outside of the skill set that's required for the position, those are probably the most important qualities that an employer is looking for in a new hire. So those are my tips on how to build a successful resume. If you have any specific questions, please post those below and I'll address them. You can also check out my YouTube channel, Live More Now, where I have a couple other videos on this topic, how to land your dream job. So thanks again for watching and good luck.